Good morning, Abdullah. Tell
Good
us
morning.
about what are you doing today and where you at?
Good morning. I'm at NICA convention in Chicago. Here is an electrical contractors association trade show. You can see around that there are many companies who are exhibiting over there.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some general questions about the industry, and I would love you to answer me about that. First thing is, where do you think most fat is hidden in an electrical estimate, labor, material, or overhead?
All right, so we're talking about estimating now. All these components are extremely important, and there are very thin, fine margins when you are estimating a job. Because if you overestimate, you're not gonna get that project. But if you underestimate, you will get the job, but it will end up costing you from your pocket. So to answer your question, I personally believe that it's hidden in your labor, right? Probably because the production rates that you're using, they're maybe a couple of years old. I don't know when was the last time you looked at your production rates. So what happens is you keep adding a lot of fat into the system because you're not sure. You're not sure because your project manager has changed, your superintendent has changed, your electricians have changed. So this is where you really need to look into every quarter or maybe every 6 months to see how your labor production rates have changed and make sure that you find innovative methods to do the same task in a less amount of time.
All right, all right. Well, second question, how important are supplier codes in finalizing your estimates?
Well, supplier cost, this is one of the area where most contractors really struggle because they are so much busy in preparing the takeoffs or running the jobs. One of the problems that electrical industry, in my opinion, is facing right now is hybrid model where you have a project manager who's running the show, but at the same time, the same project manager is finding new leads and preparing takeoffs and getting supplier quotation and all that. So there's not enough time for them to go back to the suppliers and get quotations in real time. At the same time, your suppliers are super busy as well. So usually they do not respond back to you in timely fashion. Ideally what should happen, and if you read my book Bid to Win, it's available on Amazon. If you read the book, there is a section there where when you are competing for a job and there are like 5 different electrical contractors competing for the same job, why don't you create a similar sort of situation for your suppliers as well? There should be a sense of competition between suppliers, and this is the only way they will respond back to you in timely fashion. Otherwise, you will always be chasing them for supplier quotations, and at the last moment, they'll send you something, and it may not be the right quotation, and you end up not submitting that project. So for me, or in our company, when we work for our customers, the first thing we do is we come up with a list of let's say lighting counts or switchgear counts, and we send a request for quotations to supplier right away. Right, this way they get it well in advance, and then it gives us some time to pick up the phone and call them later on and say, hey, we sent you our request for quotation 5 days ago, never heard back, what's going on. So to answer your question, uh, give it as much time as possible because they are busy as well and you are busy as well. So you need to have enough buffer. There's other way to look at this problem as well. You can create your own database, because if you have received prices for frequently used items, then you can refer back to your database and at least plug some numbers into it.
All right.
Okay. So we should
We
maybe
go for
go
it.
this
Yeah,
way.
we can go forward. And my next question to you is do contractors lock in pricing early or take the risk until project starts?
This is a continuation to the previous question. Anyways, um, they don't, and most of the contractors, they treat their suppliers as and when needed kind of situation, whereas they should build some relationships with them. And most contractors believe that just because they take or their suppliers take them for lunch or maybe a golf outing, that's a relationship. This is a business relationship that we're talking about, not on a personal level. Yes, personal touch is always important, but in business perspective, you are running a business, not a charity, which means every single penny counts. So When you reach out to a supplier, you let him know that, I'm gonna end up buying this much from you in this year, which means you should give me preferred rates, right? And have that negotiations, because it is in their advantage as well if they can lock in a volume for a year, right? And if you can give them this assurance or guarantee somehow, right, they will be able to give you very good prices. And this is where real business relationships actually start, not with golf outings and lunches, where you are making them money and they are saving you money. So the short answer is no. Most contractors don't even put enough emphasis on this thing, but it is also about leverage as well. If you grow large enough that you become a key account for your supplier, they will come to you offering you all these volume kind of discounts as well. So if I were an electrical contractor, I would break down my entire estimation process in a manner that I'm looking at labor, I'm looking at material, I'm looking at my overhead, and for every single you can say field, I will identify where I am leaving money on the table. And one way is go back to your suppliers and ask for discounts, ask for preferred rates.
Awesome, awesome. All right, let's talk about some clients. Do you think clients actually review the breakdown of your estimate or just the total number?
See, the problem is not that whether they review it or not. The challenge that there is, the contractor doesn't really submit their breakdown. And I'm not saying that you need to submit the unit prices there, because you shouldn't. Otherwise, they will start cherry picking those items where they feel that your prices are high, right? And they'll say, right, your price seems high on this one. Why don't you go alone? Don't do that. Don't give your unit prices unless the contract asks for that. What I really urge you to do is take the marked up drawings, right? Submit it as a part of your proposal. Take your takeoffs, remove the unit prices or your labor production rates and all that. Just keep the descriptions and the quantities and the quantity with waste, all this item, that's the takeoff part, and submit that as a part of your proposal. It does two things. Number one, your contractor now, or the customer, the GC now feels that you are a very responsible person. So you have looked into your job into such a detail that once is awarded to you, you will put a lot of energy and time and professionalism into actually executing the job as well. So it puts you ahead of your competition. But at the same time, what it does is now your GC will go back to the other electrical contractors who submitted a bid and say, hey, how many lights you have in there, or how many switch gears you have in there, or right. So if that document, that proposal of yours will become a benchmark for the GC to go back to your competition and tell them that you lack this kind of professionalism. So to answer your question, if you provide them this information, they will use it. But the manner you provide it, it determines whether it's gonna work in your favor or not. So we are very close to this booth for McCormick. McCormick is one of the software that we use.
Yeah.
There are others I can see around as well. So yeah.
Sure. Talking about youth, Abdullah, I want to ask you, as of you being a CEO of the company and an entrepreneur, if you could give one tip to younger estimators in the electrical trade, what would it be?
So one trend that I'm seeing in younger generation is, and I'm not sure, maybe I'm too old to answer that question, even though I don't feel like I'm old, but
we all don't do.
the younger generation, they want everything not today, yesterday.
Sure.
Right?
I hear you.
And it takes time to do good things, right? But it takes longer time to be great at something.
Sure.
If you're not ready to put in your time and energy and effort into something, you can't expect a great thing as an outcome.
Yeah.
Right? So you guys are young, maybe in your early 20s, right? And you want to make big in life. What you really need to do is you need to stick to one thing and be really great at it. Right?
Not good at it.
Not good at it.
Okay.
I read it's maybe in Jim Collins' book, Good is an enemy of great, something like that.
Wow.
Right? So we all settle for either average or good. Right? So my advice to everyone out there is, don't jump ships. You know, stick with one good company in one good role and spend some time in it. Learn the craft, learn the trade. This is a challenge that our industry is going to face very quickly, that more people are leaving the industry than they are joining the industry, which means very soon there will be a shortage of people like yourself. We want to have great estimators, great journeymen, great electricians. For that to happen, you need to be consistent and be persistent about it.
That's great. Great. Talking about some tech software side of the industry, which software do you use for electrical estimating or takeoffs?
Yeah, so I just mentioned that we have McCormick here, right?
Yeah.
I see that somewhere over there we have acumen, we have Conest. There are so many different software, and they all are great software. Software is just a piece of equipment. It's just a tool.
Sure.
It's the man behind the software, right? If you know your craft, if you know that doing it in this manner or that manner, or value engineering from this cable to that cable, that's the difference that we're talking about. We've initially spoken about the labor production rates. If you can figure out a way to do one thing, and let's say it takes 1,000 hours to finish a task, right? But if you figure out a way to do it in 900, now you have saved yourself 100 hours that you can use when putting together an estimate. That becomes your competitive advantage. That also becomes your extra profit. Usually project managers look at it when they're executing the job to make more profit over there, but you need to win a job before you make profit. So there are plenty of great software out there. So our guys, our estimators, they use whatever software that you use in-house. We are a software independent company or a template independent company. We learn about your ways of doing business, your ways of doing estimating, and we do it exactly the same manner.
Great. Speaking of AI now, there's so many it is integrating in like almost every industry, and there are two approaches of like people are scared or people are happy about it. Do you trust AI and automation in estimating, or is it still too early?
Well, it's going to happen one way or another, right? Whether we like it or not. When is it going to happen? I think it's already happening right now, but still not at a stage where you can rely on it 100%. Let me give you an example. So there are many tools out there that will scan the sheet, right, and find different types of lighting fixtures on it. This is not really AI, it's more of a computer vision thing, but who cares? The problem happens is, so if there is an expanded version of that sheet, the drawing, on some other sheet, now AI is, at this point in time, it's very difficult for AI to distinguish whether it's an expanded view of a sheet that it has already accounted for, so it can duplicate things. At the same time, computer vision is great, but the drawings are not consistent. All different architects, whether they settle down in a room and agree that we're going to build drawings in this particular manner all the time, unless this happens, there will always be a lot of variations. So for AI to understand all these variations or make a relationship between different drawings and different specs is still a long shot. But it's going to happen. There are great companies that are actually working on it. And by the way, we are also building our own AI tool, because we have estimated over 60,000 projects. We have millions of drawings available that we are trying to train our own AI tool. It's called Build Intel. It's already in beta phase, but as I said that it has limited capability. Every AI tool has limited capability. We have Procore here. You can see Procore, they are doing an amazing job as well. But it comes down to the data. If you have enough data to train the AI tool, yes, it will give you meaningful outcome. But at the same time, I would like to mention here that AI at this point in time is not an autopilot, it's a co-pilot.
Okay.
Right? It needs an estimator, it needs a human. But if AI can improve your productivity by 20%, by 30%, that's still massive improvement. So I think people should start looking at AI as a major player.
Great. My next question is, as a contractor, how often should they be reviewing their labor productivity?
I think we've already touched based on that, but the problem that usually people face is they're wearing too many hats. If you are the owner of an electrical company, you're too busy running the show. And at the same time, you feel that at the end of the month, if you have money sitting in your bank account, you must have done a great job. But you need to look at it from a business perspective. If you're leaving money on the table for your competition to come and grab, or if you're, because of your inefficiencies, if you are losing some profit margins, there's still money lost. There's still money out of your pocket. So for labor, you need to figure out, when was the last time you had a major change in your crew, right? If you're a union company, people come and go, right? So you need to find out, like, okay, this is my core crew, this is their core production rate, and review that number every 3 to 6 months, because you will find that over the course of time, because of some uncertainties in the system, you start adding contingencies in there, and those contingencies over the course of time, they build up, right? And that's where you start losing bids. So if you go back in time and see what did I do last time and what has changed now, you will be able to quantify that, and that quantification will help you determine the baseline cost of your project. And then you can add all these overheads, profit margins on top, but first you need to determine where your baseline cost is.
Thank you, Abdullah. And what's the biggest challenge? That's my last question. What's the biggest challenge your company faces when bidding electrical jobs?
The biggest challenge that we face when bidding an electrical job, it's very difficult to pinpoint one challenge, but one of the challenges, companies that we work with, they usually do not have a process in place. Right? It's like an ad hoc thing. They don't know why they are bidding a job, why they're bidding it for a certain GC, or what their competition looks like. So they do not have that concrete steps in place which allows our estimator, or for that matter any estimator, whether in-house, to say, okay, we're going to go after this job, or we're going to go after this job, or at this point in time, competition cannot serve this particular project because their crew is already tied up. So even if they are bidding, they will be bidding at a higher price, right? Because they don't want this job. They just want to have a relationship with the GC. So for me, the biggest problem there is that we do not spend, as business owners, as electrical contractors, enough time on figuring out the market, figuring out your own strengths, or figuring out your competition, or your suppliers, or your customers. There's a book that's called what's called Blue Ocean Strategy. Amazing book. What it says is the ocean is red because there are so many sharks out there. But if you find a small patch within that ocean where the competition is less, or where you can specialize, you can make a big name out of it, right? So what I really suggest everyone to do is go back on the drawing board, right, and try to figure out, why are you in this business? That most people start a company because they were an electrician for last 25 years and they thought that I'm great at it, but you're not great at business, right? Estimating is not an expense, it's an investment, right? If they say that if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be a no. And I say that if you don't bid, you're never going to get the job. The first thing you got to do is bid a job. But how you bid a job, that's where you need to learn the business side of business, right? So this is my advice to every contractor out there, to put some time and energy and effort into building your estimating processes.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Abdullah, and you have a great rest of your show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, take care.